Hi, this is Greg Merrill, the Director of Field Education at UC Berkeley School of Social Welfare. Thanks for logging on. I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint, if you excuse me for just a moment, that hopefully you'll be able to see in your screen. I want to spend some time talking with you about the School of Social Welfare here at UC Berkeley, to tell you a little bit about our field education program, and also to really outline for you what we hope for, what our expectations and aspirations are, with the goal of you being able to assess whether we would be a good fit for you, and also we will be assessing whether you would be a good fit for us. We are really looking for mutually beneficial reciprocal relationships with field agencies. And so this is just a transparent opportunity to talk to you about that. So a little bit about myself. I have a practice background of about 15 years in direct practice. I got my MSW in 1996. I worked for 8 years in a nonprofit setting, and for 6 years at San Francisco General Hospital. Most of my work has been supporting adult victims of crime through advocacy, case management, and brief individual and group psychotherapy. I've also been a program director and manager. And for the last 10 years, I've been teaching here at UC Berkeley. Originally, I was appointed to work in the health concentration and to be field faculty liaison for the health students. The last 5 years, I've been overseeing the field education program, and in the past, I've also been the MSW co-chair. So from all these experiences, I really sort of draw out how do we create opportunities for committed MSW students to become competent and excellent practitioners? What are the structures and processes that best support learning for our students? And this is a question I ask you to join me in. And certainly the field experience is the primary experience through which most MSWs become competent practitioners. So to share a little bit, UC Berkeley, as you probably know, is internationally considered the best public university in the world. The School of Social Welfare is a top 10 school of social work in the United States. We attract students from throughout California, but also from other states as well. We're a small to medium-sized MSW program, about 200, 210 students total. There are 3 distinct elements to our mission. The first is we develop effective leaders committed to solving complex social problems. So even though we understand that our students are students and they're preparing themselves for entry-level work, we want to see them to see themselves as emerging leaders, and that over the course of a career, no matter what roles they occupy, that they can exemplify and assert leadership in a way that helps systems of care move forward, helps clients and communities get the resources and quality of life factors that they deserve. So leadership development really is a key aspect of our program. We also are an evidence-based program. We are focusing on use of social science data and evidence to inform systems of care so that best practices are identified and disseminated and shared. Obviously, that involves critical appraisal and critical thinking, and being able to adapt evidence-based practice to specific contexts and to different populations, which I think is very difficult and also very exciting. So that's a part of what we want our students to become adept at. And finally, certainly we want our students to be culturally competent, to be versatile and adaptable and working with a wide range of populations, communities, and clients. And certainly that's a part of excellence as well. In the Bay Area, we are lucky because there's so many fabulous communities that live here. Wild diversity, which is amazing, and also a very rich sector of agencies that do very unique and interesting work, and that makes us a great laboratory for learning for our students. So I'll stop there. As I mentioned, we have about 200 students in our MSW program, 100 in the first year, 100 in the second year. At present, we are a full-time program. Students are admitted to a concentration area, and they take foundation and advanced courses in that area, and both of their field placements tend to be in that area as well. Any given year, we admit between 15 and 20 management and planning students. These are students that are dedicated to organizational and community practice, and really want to think about how to practice social work on those levels. We have 2 concentrations that are focused on specific types of settings. We have about 30 students admitted every year into community mental health. Those students want to support and intervene around mental health problems and concerns throughout the lifespan. Some of them are focused on children and families, adolescents, young adults, middle-aged adults, and older adults. So it is a lifespan concentration. The health concentration also is across the lifespan. Some of the students are interested in public health and prevention. Others are interested in health and disability-related life problems that can occur throughout the life cycle, to young people, to middle-aged folks, as well as to older adults. We have 2 age-based concentrations, children and families. That tends to be one of our largest concentrations with approximately 32 students. 16 of those students tend to be in our Title IV Child Welfare Program. So they are receiving a stipend to become proficient in child welfare practice, and their first and second year placements are done in settings that serve families that are involved with the child welfare system. The other 14, 15, or 16 child and family students are able to do placements in schools, in mental health or health facilities that focus on pediatrics and children, or other nonprofits that primarily serve children, families, and young adults. And finally, our smallest, but I would add our most important concentration is aging services. We usually have 8 to 12 students in this area. These students are really dedicated to being aging leaders and helping our society meet the demographic challenges it's facing now and will continue to face over the next few decades. And thinking about how do we support older adults and their families through a healthy aging and family life cycle. All of the concentrations take foundation coursework. They also take a specialized practice and policy course in their area. And then, as mentioned, both of their field placements tend to be in an area of concentration. Please think about which concentration or concentrations may make the most sense for your particular agency or program. This should look familiar to those of you that are social workers. We organize our curriculum around conceptualizing multi-level practice. And so for people who are direct practice oriented, they may sort of focus assessment and intervention with individuals, families, and groups. However, we also want them to scale up and think about organizational practice and think about community level practice as well, so that they're versatile practitioners throughout their career span and able to work on different ecological levels, around different problems and solutions at different times throughout their career. Conversely, for our management and planning students who may think and be drawn to community level or organizational level practice, we also want them to think down to groups, families, and individuals. And for all of our students to be able to scale these different levels and sort of be effective leaders throughout their career. So I think this is important because we look for field placements that touch all these different levels and are able to craft and create opportunities in these different levels for our students. Berkeley Social Welfare has dedicated field faculty, and we are full-time on the faculty from August to May, so it's actually a 9-month appointment. 75% of our time is spent arranging field placements, monitoring and supporting field placement and student field learning, and leading integrated seminars that support student learning as well. And 25% of our time is spent teaching some kind of practice methods class. It may be a required class and or an elective class. So from left to right on the top row in front of you, Andrea Dubrow is our management and planning specialist. She also holds an MPH. Jennifer Jackson and Luna Calderon are affiliated with Community Mental Health, and they're our field faculty there. To Luna's right is Liz Tang, who holds her MSW and MPH. She's our program analyst, and she is our guru. She basically runs all the administrative infrastructure behind the field program, helps us with technology and evaluation systems and special projects, and she's absolutely fantastic. On the lower row, Elizabeth Horowitz, also known as Lizzie. She's a special consultant with us, working on integrated behavioral health and teaching coursework and overseeing workforce stipends in that area. Next to her, Susanna Fong, our health and aging person. Robert Ayas, Christina Feliciana, and Kathy Ralph are our child and family team. Robert focuses on school social work and generalist child and family practice. Christina is our Title IV-E child welfare field faculty person for our first-year child welfare students. She also teaches school social work. And Kathy Ralph is our Title IV-E project coordinator, and she works with our 4E students in the second year and works with all the Bay Area counties and the other schools in what's called the Bay Area Collaborative that oversees child welfare related training and field placements in the Bay Area. In thinking about the structures of field placement, there are three basic structures that are available for you to host a student within. First-year students, typically their assigned placement days, not typically, but always, are Wednesdays and Thursdays. They're required to be in class Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. So Wednesdays and Thursdays really are the only days that they're generally available to serve in your setting. They begin the third week of September, and they continue in placement till the end of April. The way that it works with our 100 incoming students, the field faculty that you just met, they each interview 15 incoming students in their area of practice. They also consider the student's admissions file, resume, a pre-placement questionnaire. They look at the portfolio of agencies that we have available, and they make a guided match. And so students are then referred out for interview. They come out to our approved agencies. They do an on-site interview. If possible, if they're moving from out of state, sometimes we allow initial interviews or encourage them to occur by phone or Skype, followed by an in-person interview as soon as they relocate. And then we hear back from the field agency, i.e. you, and the student, whether it feels like a reasonable match. If either party feels it's not, we will send the student on subsequent interviews and also try to find the field agency another qualified student who might match better in their setting. First-year students do just over 400 hours of service, so it's about 50 days, about obviously 8-hour days. In the summer, between the first and second year, we've been offering elective summer block placements that between 12 and 15 students have been selecting for themselves over the past few years. These tend to go from June 1st to August 15th, and they tend to be 4 to 5 day a week placements. These work particularly well in hospitals, in acute settings where an episode of care is intense but brief. That can work really, really nicely with this sort of summer block placement. So if you're interested in that and you think your setting would work for that, please let us know. Finally, our second-year students. Our second-year students begin searching for their second-year placement in January and February. Typically, they search our website. Typically, they get advising from field faculty in their area of expertise. They select sites that they most want to interview at that are approved for their concentration area. If they're chosen for interview, they come and interview. And then if they're accepted, they weigh their different acceptances and they tend to accept the placement that they most want, that they were accepted at. And so it really is much more of a free market process than our first year process. Students select where they would like to interview, and although we can influence that, ultimately it's up to them. Second year students begin placement in early September. They're usually in placement Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and they serve 90 days, just over 720 hours total. So what is it that Berkeley Social Welfare is looking for in agencies that serve as field learning sites for us? We ask that your agency do share our mission, particularly of serving vulnerable populations. And usually that's not a problem. Most agencies that we work with they do focus their energy, time, and resources on serving low income or disadvantaged or otherwise oppressed or marginalized groups. We also ask you to employ a qualified field instructor, a person with an MSW degree from an accredited university who has 2 years of work experience, postmasters, and been working for you and is, essentially competent and respected in your agency for more than a year. We also prefer agencies that have more than one MSW on staff because if that MSW should leave, it can really leave our students quite vulnerable in the placement. So we do look for agencies that have a strong bench of social workers and a strong discipline of social work that's already integrated into the agency. We would like the agency to provide the field instructor with adequate time to be able to plan for the internship, to really orient the student in a very detailed, comprehensive way, to carefully select learning assignments for the student, and to provide instruction as well as supervision and feedback to the student. Early in the internship, this can be a 5-hour-a-week commitment, and as the student becomes more autonomous, usually it scales back more like 2 hours a week. But it is a substantial time commitment, and we do ask agencies to really only apply if you feel ready to make that commitment to the learning process. Finally, the field faculty that you just met, we're very, very involved with our field agencies, and we want to work with agencies that want to work with us. That will mean we want to meet with you. We want to discuss concerns and problems in an upfront, collaborative manner. We want to get to know you and your setting well. We typically already know the students very well, but we're actively involved in the process in a way that can be different from other schools. And we're looking for agencies where that is welcome. And that's another important variable that we look for. As you can see from this map, most of our students live in San Francisco and live in Oakland, Berkeley, or close thereabouts rather. And most of them are placed in Oakland, Berkeley area or in San Francisco. Not pictured, we do have students that travel to Marin, to Napa, to Sonoma. We certainly have a number of students, particularly in West Contra Costa County. We have some students also in Hayward, Fremont, along that corridor, a few students in San Mateo, and then we do have students as far away as in Santa Clara County, although much less so. Also, we do have students going up as far as Santa Rosa, which is maybe just 1 or 2 students, but most of our students, as you can see, are in the immediate Bay Area. In terms of our matching processes once you're approved and when we consider approving you, we really want to level with you about the laws of supply and demand when it comes to placements and matching. We have an abundance of second-year placements, and we tend not to need a whole lot more in our inventory, although certainly we're always looking to expand the diversity of our portfolio. Really what we're looking for are high quality first-year placements. So if you can commit to taking first-year students, that's highly desirable to us. In particular, we're looking for strong mental health placements, strong health care setting placements, strong placements for aging students, and strong placements for our child welfare focused child and family students. There's a particular need for first-year placements in these areas. And also we're looking for an agency that has a range of complex tasks, both clinical and administrative, that it can choose from to meet the student's learning need. In terms of preferences, students generally prefer to stay close to where they live or to take a placement that's accessible by public transportation. Stipends are very, very important for attracting students, particularly if you want to be competitive down the road. Particularly for second-year students. They're not required, but they are preferred and recommended. So if you have the resources to offer that, we do encourage that. And if you offer additional instructional resources on site beyond excellent individual field instruction, if you have training access, high quality seminars with an organized curriculum, or group supervision provided, those all really add a lot of value and also make you more competitive, really, and more appealing to students. So I will mention those factors to you. Let me just sort of break it down what we're really looking for. We really would like for you to plan and provide a comprehensive 3-week orientation to student or students placed with you. This includes covering the safety protocols that the students need to be aware of. It also means helping your students observe the roles that they'll be fulfilling eventually, and be able to do a lot of observational learning, as well as you providing a thorough orientation. We really need you to be able to select a range of educational activities that are suitable for a master's level student. And obviously, master's students vary in what they've done before. We're looking for students to do things that they haven't necessarily mastered, and that's why you're an educational placement for them. We rarely place students in settings where they already have worked in that type of setting or they know exactly how to do everything. The point of the placement for them is to get a type of competency or exposure that they don't have. But obviously, we do want to place students with you who are prepared enough to succeed and to learn the tasks that you need them to learn. I can't emphasize enough how much we need you to commit to spending dedicated time with your student every single week. We know our students well. If we discover that you're not putting the time in with your student that we require, we will transparently, collaboratively, but assertively discuss that with you and put that on the agenda as to whether or not you actually do have the time to provide a thoughtful internship experience for our students. We also ask that once the student is assigned to tasks, that you routinely observe them. It doesn't have to mean every week, but maybe once a month, that you observe them doing an intake, or you observe them leading a meeting, or you observe them running a group, and provide them with detailed feedback about the strengths that you saw, as well as the areas of growth that you would recommend. We do require you to submit a detailed written evaluation at the end of every semester. That includes some scaled check boxes. It also includes qualitative comments, both about the strengths that you've observed, as well as the areas of improvement that you recommend. And finally, we do want to consult and confer with you throughout. If you have questions or concerns, we want to hear from you. If there are problems, we want to be involved early on in thinking through solutions, and seeing those problems and the poor fits that do occur, as much as we try to prevent them, as excellent learning opportunities, not only for the student, but also for the field instructor. And so we really, again, looking for agencies that really want to have that relationship with us. So next steps. We would love for you to complete and submit your agency application. And I'll show you a link where you can do so in just a moment. Your application will be reviewed by myself and a field faculty member who has expertise in your area. For those agencies not eligible for placement, we will let you know what our concerns are. There are agencies that we will find eligible, but which we will not anticipate having a need for. We will also level with you about that. It may be that we just have an abundance of great placements already in your field of practice. It may be that you're a little outside where our students typically are able to travel, so on and so forth. If we find you eligible and we think a match is likely or probable, which we never guarantee matches, but if we think it's likely or probable, usually the field faculty member who will be your liaison will come out to meet with you. We'll want to talk with you, meet your agency executive if you're not the executive, make sure there's adequate office resources and space, access to desks, access to telecommunications, computers, think through the task assignments that will make sense for a master's level student, talk about the time requirements and how that will work for you, and just begin to get to know the kind of student that you think would succeed in your setting. So let me stop the PowerPoint now, and hopefully you're going to see me transition screens here. But if not, I'll talk you through what I'm doing. So you go to socialwelfare.berkeley.edu, and that will get you to our homepage. There's a tab at the top that goes along sort of the top third of the screen. Click on Field Education. You'll get a menu and click on Become a Field Agency Instructor. In here, you will find all the information, the basic information that I've just reviewed with you. You will also find where you can go to our online application that you can complete to be considered a field agency with UC Berkeley School of Social Welfare. We require those by November 30th if you wish to be eligible for second-year students in 2016-2017. And the applications for first-year students are due April 1st, 2016 for the 2016-2017 academic year. If you have questions, I want to show you how to reach field faculty. You go back up to Field Education, you click on the tab for Field Faculty Profiles. Here you can look at the field faculty members that may be in the area that you're interested in. And you should send all of your general questions to my attention. And I'm pulling up my field faculty page now. Preferred way of communication is email, Greg Merrill, GregMerrill @berkeley.edu. Just send me your questions and I'd be happy to answer them remotely. We want to thank you for logging on. We want to thank you for your interest in being a field education site for our students. I hope this information has helped you determine the goodness of fit between our program and yours. And I, again, want to thank you and hope that we have the opportunity to work with you in the near future. Again, if you have questions or concerns, please email me at gregmerrill@berkeley.edu. And have a fantastic day.